Alright, I know this isn't going to be the best quality video, but I want to look at the different varieties of blackberries I have here and how they behave differently down this row. So this first one here is a triple crown. You can see where I've cut it off up here, it was getting too big, going off in some places. It branches off quite a bit, but it's pretty good at keeping itself upright. You can see they actually get pretty long. It's gone up there to where the that drain spout's coming down. I've cut a bunch of these off. It's a very, very good producer. It behaves very, very well for me. So we're gonna come on over here. We're gonna skip that other one because I actually had some soil issues with it, but it's bouncing back this year. So we're gonna come to this third one. And this one right here, this one was a Navajo. And you can just see how many branches are coming up off this thing. All of these side branches are coming up off this Navajo. All of these are coming off of this one right here. These big branches that come up. So this one has produced extremely well for me. It tends to want to go up really, really high. It makes a lot of really good big berries. I will say in previous years the triple crown was doing much better, but now the Navajo has kicked up a notch with it. And then I do want to show this one here, which you can see got a lot more spindly. If we just track this branch right here, you can see this coming down, and I actually had to cut it. It comes all the way to here, it comes around, comes all the way here. It was going all the way to the end, but I actually cut it to make some plant cuttings, and sorry about my dogs. So this one was an Arapaho. Does a very good for trailing. It does a really good job of being able to put it onto other structures over the course, and then it just sends out a bunch of shoots along the way since it's not worried about that weight anymore. It is not nearly as erect as the other ones are, but it has done an excellent job of trailing around, which has actually been good for me because I lost two here in the middle, and I don't know why. I didn't have anything else different. I don't know if the people who owned this house before me had something else growing here that they don't like. It sort of worked out in my favor because you can see there's some weeds, but you can see these strawberry plants. I keep strawberries underneath. It's done a really good job of keeping the moisture in. So that is done really well. So I really like the Arapaho in order to trail and make up that gap space. So so far I really like the triple crown and the Navajo to have easier erect ones that are spaced. And I think when I put in my big berry field at the next house, I'm going to interspace these so that it can trail in between them. We actually had an offshoot come up here. I think based off the way it's growing, it's a triple crown, but I'm not entirely sure. It might be Navajo. Let me see. Okay, it might be a Navajo because the Navajo is the one that's right next to it here. So this one's a Navajo. You can see that's these big thick canes that are coming around. I had to tie this one because it got so heavy back here. I like to make sure that they have one big cane like this. I pull it over, and when you do that, you have these offshoots start going. I found that if you let it go straight up, like this one right here is also the Navajo, if you let it go straight up, it eventually sort of caps, and it was getting a little diseased, so I cut it off. And then you'll see underneath it is when it starts to offshoot. So I was testing that out, and I took this one and I intentionally pulled it over, and when I did, all of them just started offshooting. So I'm definitely going to try that in the future with the next berry place. This house has been sort of my testing ground, but Navajo, it takes a couple of years to get really established, but it did a really good job this last year in producing. And then this one here was a mystery blackberry. I'm pretty sure this one's triple crown. I think this is the triple crown I was thinking of earlier, because I had a blackberry that was given to me and it was in a pot, and if you're not careful with drainage holes on the bottom, the blackberry roots will grow through the pot, and you'll actually have a problem of, once those roots get into the soil, you're not getting them out. So whoever buys this house from us is going to have blackberries in this spot. Thankfully they're all thornless, but they're gonna have blackberries. I'm hoping to sell this house to a gardener so that they can get into the blackberries. But you can see this big stem here coming around and all those offshoots going on. So all these little nodes you can see going on, we'll just use this branch as an example. So here's one, you got more coming down. All those have the chance to send off more branches, which are gonna flower. And we're gonna have a ton of berries this year. We put this in during 2020, and some of these plants were older than that, but they just were in pots. We put these in for 2020 and they have just gone crazy. Year before last they had a huge harvest time. Now we put them in around this time so that it was early spring for them to hopefully give us a few fruit. 2020 we had, a few. The triple crowns tend to give you a bunch, even in their first year. Like you get a bowl. Second year, the others started producing more. Third year, so spring, summer 2023, they really were rocking and rolling. And then spring, summer of 2024, we had some issues with weather. We still had ridiculous amounts. We still have some in the freezer, and I use blackberries in a ton of stuff. But we didn't have quite as many as 2023, but I think that was because I didn't come back here and water it. I've been letting it, I kind of used it as my example year to let it go. And I think that also happened with my strawberries. You can see I didn't weed very much. I let this area go and I focused on my other garden. And I still got gallons off of these. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plants that are planted here. This is 24 feet. And I would say 2 of them are not doing very well. Just because I think of what the soil was used for before. And so you take that many plants, and in just a few years, you're going crazy on these. So I want to show you something else that I'm doing. And that is, you can take cuttings of these and root them. So I don't plan on buying new blackberries for the next house. I am making my own cuttings, and I am taking them to excuse me, the next house. And I planted so many varieties because I was expecting to find my favorite, pick that out, and then in the next house we'd know what it was. But it turns out I liked having the variety. They flower at different times, they're self-fertile, and so you just get the opportunity to have berries across a wider span. You might want berries in a shorter span because you might want to go out there, get your pickings done, and that's it. I like it over a longer span. I like having fresh berries when I come home from work. So I think I'm actually going to stay doing these different varieties. I think I'm going to keep them. I don't think I'm going to do the strawberries underneath them anymore. It was useful to a point, but the strawberries did not do very well. They produced a decent amount, but I think they needed more sunlight. Also, you can see this is on the side of my house, and we only get the evening sun over here. So this is all with half day sun, and that could be why some of these didn't do so well. They're towards the center of the house. You can see this is up here, so maybe they're getting more sun than others, or excuse me, more shade than others. But I really think this, when full sun in the next house, I think all these varieties are going to do really well. I think I'm going to space them out further too. You can see how mangled this is. But it's just crazy the amount of blackberries you can get in a small space. So, other reason why I picked these thornless varieties, they taste delicious, but these specific varieties that I did all have their patents expired. And so you can take cuttings of these, propagate them, and if you have the right licenses, you can sell, your plants depending on your area. But these are varieties that you can sell, and you are not violating anyone's patent. So do look up patents for different varieties before you go and do much with selling things, making your own cuttings. You want to make sure that whatever you get is something you're not going to get in trouble for. So those are my blackberries, and I'm hoping that you will grow your own, because once you put them in there and you put in your fertilizer, you really get a ton of reward back. Perennials are doing such an amazing job for me. So with that, I'm gonna head off.